Hello and good day, everyone. My name is Darlena Birch, MBA, RDN, and most importantly, public health dietitian. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I discuss U.S. federal nutrition programs, the important role they play in ensuring the health and well-being of all Americans, and how public health dietitians work tirelessly to support these amazing programs. All views expressed on this channel are my own and do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which I have been, am now, or will be affiliated. So happy daylight savings. I know that this video, again, is posting on a Monday, but it is being filmed on a Sunday. And just a little bit information about me. I do live in the DMV, which is not the Department of Motor Vehicles, but it's the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And so we have pretty mild winters, but it's been getting pretty chilly lately. So I decided to break out my plaid jackets versus the plaid shirts, which I usually wear. If you've been following along with this season, then you know I've been focusing my most recent videos on women who had a major impact on public health within the US, because I don't think many people realize the significant role that women have played in not just the field of nutrition, but in the world of public health at large. So today's video is dedicated to Dr. Louise Stanley, Chief of the United States Department of Agriculture's Bureau of Home Economics. Born in 1883, Louise Stanley received her Bachelor's of Science degree in 1903, and in 1906 she received her Bachelor's of Education degree from the University of Nashville. Stanley then went on to earn her Master's of Arts from Columbia University in 1907, which was followed by her Ph.D. in biochemistry from Yale University in 1911. First hired as an instructor of nutrition in the Department of Home Economics at the University of Missouri in 1907, Stanley soon became professor and chief of the department from 1910 to 1923. In addition to her teaching and administrative duties, Stanley conducted research on food chemistry, paying specific attention to proper temperatures to baking. She also investigated phosphorus in cooked meats as well as purine enzymes. In 1923, Dr. Stanley moved to Washington, D.C. to become the chief of USDA's Bureau of Home Economics, where she served in this role from 1923 to 1943. Stanley's appointment not only made her the first chief of the Bureau, but it also made her the first woman to head a bureau at USDA. It also made Dr. Stanley the highest paid woman scientist in the federal government. Dr. Stanley's appointment was met with wholehearted approval from colleagues, and the Journal of Home Economics noted that whatever woman had been appointed head of the Bureau, professional spirit would have put us behind her. With Miss Stanley in this position, we can pledge our support enthusiastically and confidently, individually and collectively. So I find it uplifting to know that Dr. Stanley's appointment was wholeheartedly supported by her colleagues of the time. Now I'm going to tangent briefly to talk about USDA's Bureau of Home Economics. The Bureau of Home Economics, later known as the Bureau of Human Nutrition and Home Economics, was a division of USDA that supported homemaker activities in the early 20th century. The Bureau developed recipes, collected information from the burgeoning scientific practice of nutrition, published sewing patterns for homemade clothing, produced radio content like the Aunt Sammy personality, wrote articles for newspapers and magazines, and generally contributed to the adoption of scientific practices in routine household activities. Operating between 1923 and 1962, the Bureau supported homemakers through the Great Depression and World War II. Now back to Dr. Stanley. In 1930, Dr. Stanley made one of her most significant decisions as Bureau Chief. She hired Hazel Stiebling to head the Division of Food and Economics. Stiebling's first project was a survey of the eating habits of average Americans. The study would bring international attention to the Bureau, and Stiebling would eventually replace Dr. Stanley as Bureau Chief after her retirement in 1943. If you've watched either of my videos on USDA's food plans or on Hazel Stiebling, then you know that Hazel Stiebling was hired under Dr. Stanley and played an instrumental role in developing USDA's food plans for families at 4 economic levels. These food plans are still used to this day. Now, the Bureau under Dr. Stanley also instituted the first national surveys of housing in rural areas and of spending by consumers. In 1939, the question of how to bring the results of Bureau research in nutrition into ordinary American homes was the topic of several articles in USDA's Yearbook of Agriculture. Dr. Stanley wrote about the major change that the development of the field of nutrition had brought. For generations, families had relied on local traditions and folk wisdom to tell them which foods to eat. But now at the Bureau of Home Economics, these families could turn to scientific results for guidance. During World War II, Dr. Stanley promoted home economics education in Latin America, which was a part of the world that was really being neglected at the time due to focus on European and Asian affairs. Stanley held the position of chief for over 25 years, and in 1943 she retired as chief of the Bureau, and in 1950 she officially retired from the Agriculture Research Administration, completing almost 30 years of government service. Known both academically and professionally for her efforts to improve the quality of life in American homes, particularly with regard to nutrition and the poor, Dr. Stanley's career included compiling data used by the Bureau to establish the Base Year Consumer Price Index and developing diet plans, which became the foundation of several government welfare programs instituted during the Great Depression. Dr. Louise Stanley was inducted into the National Agricultural Hall of Fame for her contributions to farm, housing, and nutrition education. Dr. Stanley's work paved the way for home economists internationally by providing a model for fruitful scientific involvement of the government in the issues of daily domestic life. Under her leadership, the American public became aware of and to some degree educated in the science of nutrition and how it could improve lives and strengthen communities. In 1954, Dr. Stanley passed away and was honored by the University of Missouri, which named its home economics building Stanley Hall after her in 1961. Thank you for joining me today. If you like what you see, please smash the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, you're your own best advocate. Feed your body well, nourish your soul, nurture your mind, and nutrify your spirit. Remain true to yourself and never forget that every second forward is another opportunity to be a better version of your past self.